So you say you want to go to Greece. I applaud the idea. Go to Greece. It's a nice country. But there are a few things you need to know.
When I never felt bad, come on, yeah.
These are my tips when it comes to traveling to Greece. Now, full disclosure, disclaimer, heads up, warning. I am not bashing my homeland. I would like to make that clear. I'm half Greek. I have family in Greece. I am not hating on Greece. That's not what I'm doing. I just recently returned from a 2-week trip to Greece. And yes, I spent those 2 weeks with family. So of course I have a different take, but I have been to Greece several times. And there are things that I have observed and I have learned that would be important to know and understand if you choose to go to Greece. First of all, number one, if you are a delicate little flower like me, and if temperature goes like over 28 degrees Celsius and you melt like an ice cube or ice cream sundae in the sun, avoid going to Greece in the summer. Just avoid. Unless your idea of fun is 44 degrees in the shade. And I mean, yes, it's not like that everywhere, but it tends to get hot a lot. And also, summertime is peak travel season for a lot of people, so there are tourists everywhere. I've been to Greece in March once this year, and you can tell there are fewer tourists. There are tourists, but it's not as crazy. And if you really want to go to Greece when it is warm enough to go to the beach, I would recommend going April, May, maybe September, early October. But yeah, like people think that because you're in Greece, oh, if it's too hot, go to the beach. But that's the thing. For some people, going to the beach is a 30-45 minute drive away. So it's not as if, the entire country of Greece is a beach. Like people say like, well, if it gets too hot, go to the beach. You know what? When it's 44 degrees, the beach is pretty packed and it's not necessarily cooler. Just fine. If you absolutely want to go during the summer because you can't afford vacation at any other time of the year, go to the mountains. Yes, it gets warm during the day. It gets hot during the day, but your nights are crisp and cool, beautiful, brilliant. So that's my little recommendation. Avoid traveling in the summer because, and also month of August in Greece, that's when Greeks have their yearly vacation. So you're not just competing with tourists, you're also competing with the locals who are on vacation as well. So it gets a bit chaotic. Number two, speaking of something else to avoid, avoid the islands. I'm not saying don't go to the islands at all, okay? The islands have a unique vibe to offer. However, if you are looking for authentic Greek experience and have a beach nearby, stick to the coastal cities. East Coast, West Coast, Southern Coast, even a place like Kalamata, which is kind of like, in the middle of the Peloponnesus, but like, on the coast, that's an option. But if you want to hear more German, more Swedish, more English, more Danish, more French than Greek, go to the islands. If you want to experience price gouging, go to the islands. Yes, the islands are charming. They are cute. It's the postcard image that we have in our collective minds. But coastal towns have just as much Greek vibe, Greek energy, island energy than the islands. And it's cheaper. Just putting that out there. Speaking of price gouging, number 3, think about what your options are when it comes to meals, because even on the coast, when you're not on an island, you will still have higher prices. If you're sticking to Athens, for instance, and you are visiting like the I don't want to say the city center, but all the restaurants around the Acropolis and on the waterfront, there's going to be some price gouging because it's the inn area, it's the touristy area. So think about, maybe if you are adventurous, if you can allow it, to go into the neighborhoods away from the city center. You will find cheaper restaurants. You will find local restaurants that are sometimes way better than the ones by the waterfront, by the boardwalk, by the city center, like way tastier. You will also find grocery stores. Grocery stores offer tons of options when it comes to meals, whether it's like you make them from scratch or prepackaged meals. You can also find, depending on the day of the week, the local open-air market, which we call laiki in Greek, and they have tons of things to offer, including things like tiropites and spanakopites, which is like amazing. And you also will find the newspaper stands that we call periptero, and they sell a whole bunch of stuff, and usually cheaper than if you go to the waterfront, the boardwalk, where they know they're attracting the tourists, so the prices are going to be higher. So try and explore other options when it comes to getting your food. Tip number 4, and this is maybe not for everyone, but if you can avoid it, avoid driving. Avoid driving in Greece. Yes, I am aware there are some major highways in Greece, and they are beautiful highways, and they're fantastic. But once you get into those smaller towns, those smaller villages were not created for cars. The roads in Greece were not conceived for cars, and especially they were not conceived for North American drivers who are used to really wide streets. So in your head, you're thinking, hey, this is a 3-lane highway. No, it's actually 5, because you'll have motorcyclists, sliding between lanes, and all of a sudden you're dealing with, oh, I have no room to maneuver and to turn left or right. There's a certain mentality on how to drive in Greece. And don't tell me just because you've dealt with, metropolitan traffic in your major North American city, oh, you're okay with driving in Greece. No, it's not quite like that. It's not quite like that. And don't trust Google Maps. That's the other thing. If you think you will survive driving in Greece because you've got Google Maps, no, because you may be faced with a washed out road, but because the locals have created a side path that is still functional, albeit it's mostly gravel and rock, they will not declare the road closed. So you are unsure, like, am I driving on an actual road, or am I driving to my death? And finally, advice number 5. These are our lifestyle quirks. It's nothing horrible. It's nothing, oh my God, this is, I will never be able to travel to Greece. Maybe, well, who knows? First of all, just like many, well, I don't want to say many, but several European countries, in the summertime, dinner is eaten late. Lunchtime is when people tend to have their larger meals. And because of the heat has an impact on your appetite in some cases. didn't impact mine. 6 o'clock was rolling around and I was starving. So I guess it's a metabolism thing too. So you might expect or want to have dinner at 6:30 p.m., maybe 7, and no one else is having dinner. Like the locals aren't eating dinner at that time. They will eat it much later. It's like it's not unheard of at 10 p.m. Hey, do you want to order pizza? And they have their main meal at 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. You're the kind of person that has a regular meal routine. So, maybe that's not going to be your cup of tea. I noticed during my last trip that there is an effort, towards the environment. There are recycling bins everywhere. They've made it so that the plastic cap of the water bottle is always attached on the water bottle to avoid that sort of litter, encouraging recycling. I get it. But considering the amount of food waste that is generated, you would think maybe there would be like a more accessible composting system. I'm sure there is a composting system available during other times of the year, but when I went, it wasn't a thing, because obviously with the heat, do you want to compost that, during that time of year? But I was shocked. And also, I did find that what was being thrown in the recycling bins, was it really recyclable? I don't know. Speaking of tossing things, did you know that in Greece you do not flush your toilet paper in the toilet? I'm just gonna let that sit there for a bit. So when you clean up after your business, there's a waste bin by the toilet, and you put the used paper there, and daily, it's being thrown into the garbage. It takes some getting used to. And you tend to forget, it's like, it's about pipes and the width of the pipe. You know what? Just keep that in mind. Don't be surprised if you go into a restaurant and there's a sign that says, please don't throw toilet paper in the toilet. It's a real thing. One of the fun quirks that I discovered, and I mean, I kind of knew about it, but didn't quite comprehend it when I was younger. They have communal garbage bins, which is great because you don't have to deal with your own waste bin. Daily when you take out the trash, you take it to a communal bin, and they have them in the middle ends of each street in your neighborhood. But the drawback is that when you go to said bin, you never know the state of the bin, what's in said bin, the odors of said bin. So those are my little pieces of advice. I felt compelled to share this with you because a lot of people say, oh, I really want to go to Greece one day. Oh, that's my dream. And then they invariably say, like, I want to go to the islands. Why? That's a tourist trap. Going to the islands has become a tourist trap. That's what I'm saying. And I mean, if you want to fall into that trap, go for it. Have yourself a lovely, lovely day.